Hey everyone, I just want to let you know that me and my pal Super OG just made a Discord server. Now I don't expect a lot from this because we're a relatively small channel, but I just wanted to let you guys know because I want to keep a closer eye on my channel and my community, and I want to be able to know what you people want the Plasma channel to become. Now without further ado, let's get into the video. Hey and welcome to another video. In this video we're going to be looking at the weirdest quadrilogy in the history of Icelandic movies. We are of course taking a look at the Algjörðsveppi quadrilogy. Now I bet most of you didn't understand the name of this movie, so I will translate. Wait, what the fuck is this movie's name in English? Oh, wait a second, thank God for Google.
Serious?
Real mushroom. They really should have thought about how stupid this movie's name is in English. Anyway, this video series will be split up into 4 parts, one for each movie, so without further ado, let's get into this. Now, the first movie starts with us approaching a space station. Oh, and don't worry, I'll put subtitles when anyone talks. So, here we get introduced to our main characters, Sveppi and Villi. They are in space. For some reason. Now, the first time I saw this scene, I was actually very weirded out because I got no explanation for why they were in space. Because the cover had a quad bike, and you know what? It doesn't have to make sense. Let's just continue. No, stop. Please stop. I don't want to get age restricted on YouTube. So anyway, Villi scratches Sveppi's asshole, but then... Okay, Sveppi doesn't actually just explode and die in this scene. It was actually just our main characters playing with fucking school supplies.
Strákar, eru þið ekkert að fylgjast með?
Jú, ég alveg að fylgjast með sko, en ég veit bara ekki hvað Villi að gera.
Villi, hvað ertu að gera?
I love how they look about 25 and all the kids in the classroom look like they're 8. So after that incredibly awkward scene, the class is dismissed and we learned that Villi has been working on a very special project at home. But then they just awkwardly start looking at this random guy screaming at some kids that... So what do these geniuses do? Well, they assault the kid screamer with a very powerful looking laser, and the guy does a kind of splat. Hello darkness, my old friend. So anyway, then Sveppi and Villi head home to see the very special project Villi has been working on. What's with the music in this scene? It sounds like it came straight out of a 1980s country album. So then our 2 awesome dudes head into the room and Villi says... So he picks up a harmonica and shows Sveppi that the harmonica has an electrical output. Then he just grabs a random cable and proceeds to shove the cable into the harmonica, making the nearby speaker go... So, despite them almost blowing up the house, no one checks on them. I know that if I blew up a massive fucking speaker inside my apartment, the police would be called immediately. So, anyway, our pair survived the explosion.
Villi, allt í lagi með þig? Ég held ég þurfa að stilla þetta eitthvað aðeins betur, þetta fór aðeins úrskeiðis hjá mér.
Oh, did it now? You almost killed yourself, your friend, and the house could have suffered some damage. But hey, just push it under the rug. It doesn't really matter because now it's time for the main event. The thing that was supposed to be dangerous. A drum roll, please. And it's a radio. A fucking radio. So the exploding harmonica speaker thing isn't dangerous, but a radio is? It doesn't have to make sense. Let's continue. So then the pair hear some voices coming through the radio, and it's some bad guys that want to take over Iceland, yada yada yada. And then Sveppi has to go home, so he leaves, and we get some shots of Villi messing around with a glorified radio, and the bad guys hear him.
Uss, hlustið, hvað þetta? Ég veit það ekki. Það eins og sé að vera að fylgjast með okkur.
Spurt. Nú hann hér, hann fjast í þér.
I like to think of how that day on the set went. I bet the director was like, John?
Yeah?
Can you just pretend you know how to type while we film this scene?
Sure.
And then they ended up with this. Also, I love how the bad guys are so stereotypical. Okay, so we have Chadwell Clay, we have businessman, and lastly, a terrorist. So anyway, the ninja hacks into Villy's computer and turns on his light. Okay, so now I want you to guess what happens to Villy in this scene. Number 1, nothing. Number 2, he gets kidnapped. Or number 3, the camera explodes and kills him. I'll give you 3 seconds. Well, if you guessed number 3, you're wrong because it's number 2. But we don't get to see it until like 10 minutes after. So now we're at Sveppi's place, where we get some fourth wall breaks about eating healthy and trying something new. And it's awful. So after that totally necessary scene, Sveppi goes to sleep, and when he wakes up we can hear his mom genuinely freaking out over something, and then she violently bursts into his room without warning and explains that Villy has gone missing.
Já, ég vakna.
Sverri minn, hvar hann Villi?
Ha?
Villi, hefurðu séð Villa?
Hvar Villi?
Já, Sverri minn.
Hann ekki bara heima hjá sér?
Nei, hann ekki heima hjá sér, hann týndur.
Týndur?
Hann var ekki í rúminu sinni í morgun.
Það getur ekki verið, ég var heima hjá honum í gær.
Komdu, Sverri minn, þú að hjálpa okkur.
Já, ég að koma.
And on his way out of the room, he does this sick bounce on the trampoline. Then we awkwardly cut to Villy's place. At least the weird music is gone, but it has been replaced by Sveppi staring into your soul awkwardly for 10 seconds. Okay, 8 seconds, I don't give a f. So, after staring awkwardly at the camera, the police officer tries to convince him that everything is going to be okay, and that everything is under control. Then he just leaves. So after that, Sveppi goes to Villy's room and goes on his 1980s Macintosh. Look at this fake as fuck interface. So then Sveppi finds a folder on Villy's computer that is literally called webcam recordings. And when he opens the file, some awful robotic voice tells Sveppi that you will need a password if you want to see this video again. And then the voice says, and I shit you not, it literally says this, have fun. The voice that is keeping this weird file safe said have fun before playing the video file.
Nei.
So after that, Sveppi screams at the top of his lungs that he...
Ég veit hvað kom fyrir Villa.
Hvað segirðu?
Ég var að horfa á það í tölvunni, að hann satt í tölvunni sinni og fyrir aftan hann var einhver maður í svörtum fötum með svona grímu, svona eins og ninja sem að koma einhvern klút og svæmði hann.
So, what does this absolute genius do next? Well, he stages a plan to take Villy back.
Keflavik. Nú sko, ef að fullorðna fólki trúir mér ekki, þá verður maður bara að gera þetta sjálfur.
So, on his way to Keflavik, he meets a random guy who we've literally never heard about before, called Gói.
Sveppi, allt í lagi með þig?
Já, ég ætlaði sko að gera þetta.
Já,
Já, þetta var kötturinn minn.
þinn?
Já, mömmu.
Já.
Pappa.
So, then we get this awful expedition dump slash backstory for Gói, but I think he forgot to add that Gói has a mental illness or something of the sort, because when he is explaining all this, Gói starts yelling at his cat to... So, Sveppi then asks Gói to come with him to save Villy, and Gói says yes, without even hesitating. You can tell that Gói is really smart. So, then they embark on a journey to save Villy. Now we cut back to the villain space, where we see Villy tied up and unable to move. And one weird thing with this scene that I noticed is that you can hear Villy breathing heavily, but his chest and mouth aren't even moving. Then the bad guys enter, and in short, they ask him if he knows anything about the operation that they are conducting here. And when he says he knows nothing, the businessman, as I will call him, threatens to cut a 5th grader's fingers off with a...
Naglbítur.
Wow, Yeah, this movie is way more fucked up than I remember. We cut back to Sveppa, the delusional idiot, and Goe, who has convinced me that he has a mental problem now. Sorry, I'm getting a bit sidetracked with the dumb shit in this movie, but anyways, let's continue. So, Sveppa has made a plan to go out of town to a place called Reykjavik, where he thinks that Ville is, using a bus. But the genius doesn't have any money, so guess what his plan is? To get in the trunk of the bus and wait until it gets to Keflavik. This movie is so fucking dumb. So, when they get to Keflavik, they actually get caught, but the people that found them just kind of let them escape.
Hvað eru þið búin að vera þarna allan tíman?
Ja, sko, mamma pappi sko, ammans, sem hérna keyrir í rútu.
Legur.
Hvað strókar, komið aftur, ekki fullorðin með ykkur?
At least, like, trying to run after them. So, after escaping, they come across a fence, and immediately, Goe pulls out this awful Toys R Us shovel out of his ass and assembles it and starts digging. But after digging for about 1.5 seconds, the shovel breaks, so Goe goes for plan B and starts climbing over the fence. But Sveppa is too fat for that shit, so he finds the most obvious opening in the entire world and walks by the fence to Goe's confusion. So, the next minute is just them walking. Just walking. Oh, and Sveppa murders an innocent rock. On their way, they come across Chadwell Clay on a quad bike, and Sveppa, the smart ass, realizes that the voices on the radio were talking about quad bikes, and we cut to one of the bad guys driving a quad bike up to a house and going inside. The next scene is probably the best scene in cinematic history. It is so incredibly bad, but so stupid, that when I was making this video, I started laughing uncontrollably. So basically, it's the bad guys taking groceries out of this bag, and then the businessman makes the worst joke I've ever heard.
1944. Matur fyrir sjálfstæða Íslendinga. Ekki lengur.
Oh, it's so bad. We get back to Sveppa and Goe as they walk somewhere in Keflavik, and as they're walking, they stumble upon a massive fucking garage. And like the geniuses that they are, they decide to walk into the garage, and without warning, the garage door shuts, trapping them inside. Sveppa goes full-on mental while Goe is basically asking to die as he stumbles through the garage like a fucking idiot while telling Sveppa to calm down. Jesus, have you guys ever heard of something called stealth? And surprise, surprise, they get fucking caught. And when the dude who we will later know as Joe finds them, Goe has a full-on mental breakdown.
Hvað eru það að gera?
Við ætlum ekki að gera neitt fyrir bara tveir saklausi strákar.
Rólegir.
Joe then tells the dudes to calm down, and once they do, he takes them to his office, and then Goe and Sveppa ask the dumbest questions in the world.
Ertu vondur eða góður?
Þetta er svona kall sem étur börn eða rænir krökkum.
Hvaða vitleysa er þetta?
Joe then asks why they're here, and Goe tries to bullshit something about getting lost on a school trip, but Sveppa steps in and tells Joe that Ville has gone missing and that they're looking for him. Joe actually believes them and lets these two 5th graders out with some sort of key, which Joe just kinda found 30 years ago. So then they embark on a journey to the villain's base. Then they come across an old airfield, but it's locked by a massive gate they can't climb over, so they look around and conveniently find this awful fake as fuck keyhole, which is the exact same color as the key, so they insert it into the keyhole, and guess what? It opens. So they walk out onto this open airfield out in the middle of nowhere, and surprise surprise, a fucking awful CGI monstrosity that has a resemblance to a plane almost runs them over.
Gói, það er flugvél að komast!
So after being nearly run over by a plane, they start joking like a bunch of fucking idiots. Meanwhile, Ville is in the evil base recording some dumb messages.
Elsku Guð, viltu koma mér hérðan burt?
Then Willy gets the bright idea to throw the voice recorder outside via a window, but if you look closely, he's in a fucking kitchen, so there should be something in there sharp enough to cut through the ropes that are holding him down. For a smart guy, Willy, you are a fucking idiot. Anyway, the voice recorder lands on someone's car, but the idiot thinks nothing of it and just keeps driving like a dumbass. And the worst thing is that he was actually searching for the fucking boys. And if you thought the guy couldn't get any dumber, he literally drives past Sveppe and Goe. The stupidity is making me depressed. Then Goe and Sveppe actually find the villain's base and peek inside, and they see the businessman and the terrorist playing card games. So then they try to go inside, but the door is locked, so the writers just plain gave up and decided to make the key that Joe gave them work on literally everything, and the door just opens, and Goe says this. Scientist. Really, does that look like a fucking scientist to you? Anyway, they head inside and this happens. Why are you singing? Anyway, they rescue Willy and get on a quad bike to escape, but before they can, the terrorist sees them and starts pursuing them. Goe gets the brilliant idea to throw a banana peel on the ground, making the terrorist spin like a motherfucker. But after getting rid of the terrorist, Chadwell Clay appears out of the ashes of his fallen comrade and gives chase as well. Then the ninja starts throwing knives and shit at the boys. But remember that they're 7 years old in this movie, so this man is practically trying to kill 3 7-year-old boys by throwing shurikens at them. If this isn't fucked up by your standards, I don't know what is. So anyway, they escape in the most unrealistic way ever by crashing the quad bike into a curb, making them fly over a fence and onto Keflavik airport. They then get into a plane in the most awkward and unrealistic way ever. Like, geez, it was that easy to get onto a plane? Terrorist attacks and hijackings would happen like 10 times more often. So anyway, the ninja somehow gets onto the plane without tickets and no one questions it. Like, at least the boys had a dumb and unrealistic way of getting into the plane, but the ninja just gets on and the writers just hope you don't notice. Then they take off, and after a bunch of exposition about Willy and Goe, they start to feel the freezing temperature of being 10 kilometers up into the fucking sky. So they get the brilliant idea of robbing random people of their clothes and taking them for themselves. And in the process of doing so, they get hungry. So they send Willy up through a hatch and he searches for food. The flight attendant just conveniently stops the cart right before it's on top of them so they can get the food. But Willy sucks at stealing, so he accidentally grabbed the flight attendant's ass before taking the food. Meanwhile, the ninja is talking to another flight attendant about how his face is always so dry and unmoisturized, and the guy that's talking to the ninja legit hands him a stick of Labello moisturizing lip gloss or whatever and walks away. We cut back to Sveppe in the area where they keep the bags, and he asks Willy for a shoe and a fishing pole. He then attaches the shoe to the fishing line and throws it at the flight attendant, and then reels it in so she could find them. And then they quietly ask her to tell the ninja to get off the plane, and when she goes up to the ninja and asks him for a ticket and a passport, he responds by throwing the flight attendant down. She then goes full on Neo from the Matrix on this fucker and kicks him in the face. And the day is saved. The bad guys are arrested and they are escorted from the airport to a theater in Reykjavik, because Sveppe is going on a date with some girl that has no reason for being in the film at all. Anyway, they go see a movie, Goe and Willy drive off with the cops, and the movie ends. That was dumb. Algjör Sveppi og Leitin á Villa is one of the dumbest movies I have ever seen, but it's so bad that it's good. It's really one of those movies you can enjoy with almost anyone without feeling bored for a second. Oh, and also the original soundtrack for this franchise is a literal 10 out of 10 in terms of epicness. I can't actually believe I said that word unironically. Anyway, thanks to Chroma for helping me with the script for this video, and also for appearing in the second video on this movie series, which is in the works right now, by the way. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons, because this took literally forever to make. But with that aside, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.